All right, welcome back everyone, and in today's video we are going to be discussing how you can make a question and answer game, but this time we are going to be using functions. So as you probably noticed, the last time you made a question and answer game, even with just 5 questions, the code base became incredibly messy. This was because we had no real way to organize it. Well, if you've been following along with my tutorial series so far, you should be familiar with the idea of using a function. A function is a way to store lines of code so that way you can reuse it. And that's essentially what we're going to do to build this game. It's going to make essentially our code base a ton more clean and just simpler to use. So essentially the way this should work is the user should ask a question, or you should ask the user a question. If they get their question right, they get a point. Obviously, if they get it wrong, they don't get a point, right? This app should track the score and the user's name, or the username if you would like. Okay. Last thing is this app should also include, I think it needs to include at least 8 function calls. And all called the program should start with or by calling a function named main. So this last one is a really big standard in programming, is always to have everything running through a main function, and I'm doing that on purpose here because that's a very important thing. It's pretty much the standard, and in some programs actually required. You really don't get a choice, but you have to run everything through a main function. So yeah, so why don't we go ahead and essentially, I think, let me check here my notes. I think that's all the requirements. So, and the function specifically, you need an introduction function, intro function, which introduces the player to the game, an outro, or an ending function, what happens when the game ends, and then each question is a function. Okay, and then the app, what we would like to build would have 5 questions. Today would have 5 questions, but for time, I'll just do 1. And the reason for this is obviously time. I just want to show you how you can kind of get up and going and build your own, right? The whole point of this isn't to build it all for you and show you everything. It's to show you 95% of the process and you kind of do the rest. All right, so essentially that is pretty much everything I can think of on this assignment. Let's go ahead and just look at how you should approach this. So the very first thing I think you should do is you should define a main function. Okay, now I'm not actually going to have anything inside the main function right now, but just keep in mind this is where everything's going to run from, is this main function. And this essentially stores as my storage for all the code I'm going to write. And at any given point in time, I can check, what time things are running and the order in which things are running. And this is just the standard way you should really be organizing your code base. So essentially, this is the only function call that the script will read, and then every other function is going to go into the main function. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and define an introduction. So we're going to create an introduction. Boom. All right, so the introduction should probably print a message like, hello, welcome to the game. Hello, welcome to this game. And I can create a variable here and set it to name and ask input, what is your name? Question mark. Okay, they're going to go ahead and tell me a name here, and then I can say print name, and I'm actually going to come and make a space here. So I'm going to create a space and go name, do plus sign here, and do it is nice to meet you, exclamation point. And then you can say something like, I'll just create a random variable here, INP, input, are you ready to play? Question mark. And they're going to say something like yes, right? And then here I'm actually going to write, click any button to continue, click any button to continue. Okay, so that's going to pop up there and essentially tell them just click anything to play. All right, so now let's tell them the rules. So let's print, in this game, you will be asked to answer questions. Boom. If you get the questions right, you gain a point. Print. Let's do try and get more than 3 points to win. Let's just say that's how you win, right? So it would be getting more than 3 points. Cool, cool. All right. INP is input. Now you can go, are you ready to begin? Question mark, space. And then again, click any button to continue. Just gonna grab this right here. Oops. And put that right there. Cool. And then I'm actually gonna do something small here. I'm actually gonna return name when they do this. So the reason why is because later I want to be able to use name in the function here. So I'm actually going to return this value here and then set it to a variable here in my introduction. Okay, so essentially all this is going to run, and then after this is all done, I'm going to eventually use name later. So that way I have this variable here that I can obviously use and reuse if I need to. All right. Cool, cool. So there's my introduction. Let's go ahead and check this out. Let's see what this is complaining. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we don't need to use it. That's fine. All right, cool, cool. So I'm going to now come here and I've defined my introduction. So I'm going to go ahead and set a variable here called username. Is equal to introduction. Cool. Okay, so let's just go ahead and just make sure everything's working by printing the username. Boom. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. It's going to go ahead, and the first thing that's going to run here is the function introduction. After this function is done, it should return to me this name here, and then that will be stored as username in the main program. Okay, then here is the initial function call that starts the entire program. So main's going to be called here, which is then going to go to this, and it's then going to run the introduction function right here, which is going to return a value of username, which is going to be a string after all of this code runs. All right, so let's go ahead and check it out. So here's my console. I'm going to go ahead and slide this over so y'all can see it. Nice and neat. Let's go ahead and run. Hello, welcome to this game. What is your name? Anthony. Boom. Anthony, it is nice to meet you. I'm actually going to just fix a grammatical error there. It should be lowercase. It is nice to meet you. Are you ready to play? Click any button to continue. Sure. In this game, you will be asked to answer questions. If you get the questions right, you gain a point. Try and get more. Typo. Try and get more than 3 points to win. And I'll put an exclamation point there just to emphasize that. Are you ready to begin? Click any button to continue. And as you see, when I click that, this is now going to return name. And then I just printed that there to begin. Cool, cool. All right, so there's our introduction function. So I'm also now going to do another thing here is I'm going to go ahead and initialize score in a second here. So SCORE, and I'm going to set that equal to 0 because obviously you have no points at the start. And then I'm going to define set score. Okay. Now, whenever I set the score value here, actually, I'm not going to init here. I'm actually going to pass in score as a variable to set score. Okay. All right. So set score. And let's get amounts here. So that way they can get more than 1 point. So score plus equals amount. And we're just going to return score. Boom. I'm going to go ahead, actually, CORE. We're going to set that equal to 0 here. And then here, I'm going to define a get score. So define get score. So this is going to be a setter and a getter, which essentially allows me to get and set the score if I ever need to. Oops, sorry, having an issue there with my shift key. There we go, get score. Again, this is just going to take in, it's actually just going to get the score. So we're just going to come here and we're going to do return score. Boom. Cool. So score value is initialized here. This is what I'm going to be passing. I'm actually going to call this local score. Or actually, let's do amount and then do that. So that way, should see the scope's going to map out here. That's okay. Actually, we'll just do it the old way I have it here. So it's just passing in and then returning score. Yeah, and we'll just use that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and look here. So in my main, we're now doing that. So get score is going to return score. Actually, we could just do set score instead. That's fine. Yeah, because I guess this adds the score and sets anyway. So I guess if you just set this to 0, it's the same as getting the score. So I guess I'll just do it that way, keep it less complicated. All right, so let's go ahead and last thing we said to the user to begin. Cool. All right, so now we need to define a question 1. We can also do question 1 like this. Boom, here. All right, so let's go ahead and do print who. Oh, what do I want to ask? Where is Esports Players Club? Original location. Or what city is Esports Players Club originally located? Let's do that. Originally located. Boom. Cool. Question mark, space. All right. Boom, boom. There it is. So we have print A colon, and this will be Tampa. And then we'll go ahead and copy, paste. I wish they had the, can this hold down? No, that does that. Control down. Ah, that's why I like VS Code better. B, let's do Orlando. C, another city. How about Ohio? There we go. Definitely a city. And then D here will be Russia. I don't know. Why not? Well, hopefully you guys get this one right. Make this not a city, and this will be pretty obvious, right? There we go. Now it's very obvious. All right. Anyways, so what city is Esports Players Club originally located? Okay. Now we print all those values, and then we're going to go ahead and do answer is equal to input. And I'll just leave a prompt here that says answer here, colon space, so that they'll put in an answer. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and do. I'm actually going to grab this and put this here, and we'll see why in a second. All right, so answer here. So if answer is equal to, and I'm going to do answer.lower here, just in case I type in a capital letter. I want to make sure that the answer comes back lowercase, just in case they have caps lock on. Okay, so if answer is A, pass, and then elif answer is B, go ahead and pass, boom, elif the answer is C, I'm going to go ahead and pass, and then elif D, boom, and then pass, and then else print not a valid response. No points given. Cool. So it's really important that you guys do this right here because this is called error handling. Essentially, if the user makes an error, right, I want to make sure that that's handled. So if none of these pass, right, I want to make sure that at least something's printed so that the program's not going to break, right? And then the answer.lower here is to make sure that even if they type in like a capital letter, like a capital A, it's going to put it to lowercase so that all of these are going to track, right? All right, so what we're going to go here is do print, and we're going to do here, you got it right, boom, and then I'm going to go ahead and set score here, the original score, equal to set score, boom, and then we're going to pass in score, and then we're going to do amount, which is 1, boom, and it's complaining, what's complaining about? Oh, that's fine, okay. All right, then we're going to do print your score is, and then we're going to do a plus here, and then we're going to str the score value. So this is typecasting the score so that it's been set correctly. And what's it complaining about here? Local variable score defined in enclosing scope on line 8 reference below. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. All right, so there we go. You got it right. Boom, and then if they get it wrong, we're going to do you got it wrong. Print the correct answer was Tampa. Boom. And then we're going to go ahead and we don't have to set the score. We can just return what the score is because obviously they didn't get any points from that. Okay. All right, coming through here. Boom. Boom, boom, and there you go. So there's your just first initial question here. So essentially, it's just going to ask them a question right here, as you can see, and then based on that question, they will get an answer. So we're going to go ahead and now put question 1 here. Boom, nothing needs to be passed. As you can see, actually, you could pass username, and you could say, you know, something else if you wanted to. Actually, we could say, we don't even need to. Actually, you could. Actually, we could do that. So we'll pass username just for an example here because I want to make it fancy. And then when we do the set score, we can actually do now username, boom, plus space, and then space here. Boom, and then that needs to go everywhere. So this will now track your username as it tells you the score. Boom, boom, and then you can even say username here, and then do a plus and a space, and then a space here. Okay, there you go. All right, so the main thing I want to show here before we continue on here, and then I got the pass username here. Okay, there we go. Oh, user, just a small detail here. Let me make sure this variable is consistent. Actually, never mind. No, I don't have to worry about it. I'm not gonna fret over it right now. All right, but anyways, back to what I was saying. Notice how much cleaner this looks. This has a lot more code in it, but this is when functions really shine. right? And this is the main whole point of this assignment, is to really see how the first time you made a question and answer game, it was ridiculous. You had if-thens everywhere, scattered all around, and one indentation in the entire program doesn't work, right? So when you organize your code base like this, it's very easy to see when things start to, not work correctly and when things start to fall apart. And that is the benefit of functions, because then you can say, oh, it's none of these that are failing, it's this specific function that's having an issue, right? And you can debug that specific function. So that's just something to keep in mind, and really, really use throughout your time. Right, is that just an entire concept. All right, so I should be able to run this. I know I'm getting a little bit of a scope issue here, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. But we'll see. All right, anyways, let's go ahead and run this. All right, so it asks me what my name is. It's Anthony. Boom. All right, Anthony, it's nice to meet you. Are you ready to play? Enter. In this game, you will be asked to answer questions. If you get it right, you gain a point. Try and get more than 3 points to win. Are you ready to begin? Cool. All right. What city is Esports Players Club originally located? So if I put in I'm going to put in a lowercase a here so you can see. Boom. And it did not like that score reference. Okay, so it was going to error that. Let's come back here. Let's just do this instead. Let's just delete this and put in 0 as that. So actually, we're going to create score. We're going to initialize it here, score. Let's go to 0. There we go. What's it upset about? If I declare this as an int, will you stop complaining? Fine, we'll just do that. And then we'll have main here, and we'll pass score through here. Boom. Cool. And then score is going to have to go through here. Boom. And then we're going to pass score into here. Boom, which will then pass into there. Cool, and then really the only thing we really need to return is probably the score again, just so you have the score, so we'll just return score. Why are you complaining? Oh, this needs to be tapped. There we go. Cool. All right, so even then you can kind of see doing a little bit of debugging as well was way easier to do with these functions, right? I kind of had a feeling that might happen, and that's okay. You know what I mean? But again, this is one of the reasons why having your code base organized like this, even if you do make a small mistake or you want to see if something works or not, it's very, very easy to debug and refactor your code without things getting way, way, way out of hand. Right, and as you can see, question 1 is just going to return a score, which I then set the new score value to that. So now this should work all fine and dandy, and let's go ahead and run this. So one more time here, you'll see it's going to go ahead and ask me what my name is. I'll go ahead and come over here, type in Anthony. Boom, Anthony, it's nice to meet you. Are you ready to play? Yes, I am. All right, in this game, you'll be asked to answer questions. If you get the question right, you will gain a point, blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. So boom. You got it right, your score is 1. There you go, guys. So essentially, this is a much better way in creating a simple, question and answer game, but using functions to organize your code. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give some dummy responses here, just to show you guys what would happen if I gave other responses to this question. So you can really see what's going on there as well, and why, for example, I did the string dot lower here, for example. All right, so let's go ahead and look at that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and run this again. What's my name? Ants. We'll do ant this time. Yep. All right, so let's say I put in a capital A, right? Watch what happens here. It still recognizes that that was A, because in the question here, I did the lower. So what this does is it took the capital A and made it into a lowercase a, in which case it recognized that I clicked the answer A here since this is lowercase. So that's why the string.lower method is here, because it lowers anything that's capitalized into a lowercase letter. So that I just wanted to make sure we understood why I did that. Cool. Let's go ahead and see what happens if I type in the wrong answer. So let's say I put in, C. Uh-oh, I forgot to change something. You got it incorrect. Let's That's why we always got to beta test, right? Just had the wrong word here. And as you can see, again, I made a small little mistake here, and look how easy it is for me to refactor this code because everything was nice and neatly organized inside the functions, right? And I can always close back up these elifs, and there we go. Boom. Right, just like that, I'm able to fix that issue where it was just one small little mistake there that I copied. Right, so now go ahead and type in a different response. All right, so let's say I put in a capital D here for Russia. It now says you got it incorrect. The correct answer was Tampa, and your score is 0. You score. Your, Y-O-U-R. See, another great example. This is introduction. We want question 1. Yep, here we go. Your, got it incorrect. Your, cool. There we go. Boom. All right, so as you can see, I now fixed those small type errors, and again, this is a great example of how refactoring or fixing small mistakes is very easy when you have these functions. All right, let's see what happens when I type in some random gibberish. So your name can be whatever you want, right? It literally doesn't care. You can put in whatever you want. I can put in whatever keys, and as long as I click enter here, it goes. All right, are you ready to begin? Click enter. All right, Warros Esports Players Club. Let's say I put in, I have no idea. Please help. As you can see, it says not a valid response, no points given. So this is the way you can handle errors, right? Is by doing that else statement, and that's why that else was there. Okay, right down here. So that handled that issue, right? All right, and I think that's pretty much it. The only thing I think I would change, just a last small little thing here, is come to the introduction and say click enter to continue. I realize I always click enter to continue and not the other thing. So let me just do that real quick. So click enter to continue. And then click enter to continue. Yeah, and that's it. So again, I really just showed you guys the introduction and one question, but you could obviously branch this out and have 5 different questions with this exact same code format. So there you go, guys. I really hope this video was helpful. Please like and subscribe if this helped you in any way, and I will see you all in the next one.